community's always been special in my mom and dad's heart and all of our family's hearts. It goes from the choir. We thank you. We thank the American Legion, Marcadia. St. Augustine Parish, Colorado. Thank you. St. Anthony's, the first responders, Ladies Guild, many of the close neighbors, Sharp Funeral, anyone else that's impacted mom and dad and family throughout our entire lives. So at my mom's funeral, we spoke about the dash that was on the tombstone. That was between the September 7th, 1939 to November 3rd, 2015. Today, there's a second dash that appears on that tombstone of the two most important people in any child's life. The dash represents the history of who we are and a whole lot of stories of how we got here. In his son's eyes, his dad's perfect. He's a role model, a hero, an example of what is right. A son looks up to his dad, and a son wants to grow up like his dad and someday fill those big shoes. My dad taught me the most important person is the person you are with. Treat them as such. During the spring, when the field work was being completed, Dad would work hours in the field. At lunchtime, Mom would make Dad a sandwich, pack a banana, and a dessert, and ask for volunteers to bring up to Dad. We all wanted to, but I cried the loudest. This morning we walked up in that field, and I looked down. I walked up that lane, and I scurried across that barren, dull dirt. Dad would stop his tractor. He would find a place to sit in the shade of the tractor, and he would pack the lunch. I would sit there with my dad, just as happy as could be, sharing my dad's lunch. Dad would always take time for his kids, and at that moment, I was the important person, sitting across a plot of rich Iowa soil from the most important man in the world. At nighttime, Dad would bring a mirror and eraser to the kitchen table to shave. And I would start working my way, meandering into the kitchen table, sitting right next to him. As Dad would finish shaving, he would sometimes ask me to go to the pantry, and in the bottom drawer, get him a can of, generally speaking, mustard sardines. I would retrieve the can of sardines and 2 forks. Then I would spin the key to the lid and open up the sardines. Dad and I would each eat a small piece, and then I would get up and run to the pantry and get the vinegar. And I would hand the vinegar to my dad, and he would fill in the voids of the sardines that were missing. And we would continue to eat the remaining sardines. Fast forward 30 years. 2 months ago, I had sardines for the first time in 30 years. And I would probably never eat sardines again in my life. Now, I'm not real sure if Dad ate sardines only because he thought I liked them, or if the sardines tasted so good because of the person I was sharing it with. But it was time with my dad, and not even the most awful tasting and smelly can of fish would prevent me from spending that time together with them. We both really enjoyed when Dad started frying eggs for a late night snack instead. Dad was a tall frame man, simple fare, had this great big smile. He'd fix anything, solve any problem. He was a planner, an extreme hard worker. But above all, he cared. He loved his wife, and he always made sure she was cared for. He cared for every child. He made sure he spent quality time with each of us. Dad's legacy runs deep and far. His impact knows no boundaries and is embedded into each one of his kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids. He was a perfect fit for this community. Dad, like Mom, always fought for the underdog. Dad has many times shared a story about brother Chris. When Chris was a baby, he cried all the time and would not eat much. Dad felt so bad for Chris. Dad would continue on about how the older kids would eat all the food, and how he wanted Chris just to jump in there. Then Dad started pushing food on Chris. And I have witnessed Chris eating a half a gallon of sliced tomatoes in one sitting, just because of Dad's persistence. After a few years, Chris started grabbing food off the others' plates. Dad would finish the story now that Chris is the biggest, and all the other kids need to jump in there before Chris eats all their food. If I had to describe who my dad is through a son's eyes, in one story, it really boils down to a flashlight story. I always tried to understand what holding the flashlight meant for my dad. When I was young, I always held the flashlight for Dad. If we were underneath the car, fixing Tom's car, my idol that probably broke down. In the machine shed, greasing the zerks, I was holding that flashlight. If we were in the barn, Dad was scooping out feed, I was holding that flashlight. In my mom's eulogy, I mentioned what holding the flashlight provided me in life. It provided me the ability to mechanically assemble or disassemble anything. But more importantly, it was to provide me with the ability to see things in a different viewpoint and perspective. Then on May 9th, as I was driving to work at 7:15, I thought about holding the flashlight. Because I had my own son hold the flashlight for me. He would shine it on what I was looking at for one of the 10 seconds. And the other 9 seconds, the light would be shining directly in my eyes. Why then? When I was 5 years old, with my dad during a dark, frigid blizzard night, having come help him outside to hold the flashlight while he was down in the water valve pit by the new hog barn. It definitely did not save him time, having a light shine into his eyes while his bare hands were working in frigid water didn't seem very enjoyable. But Dad was teaching me. He was allowing me to spend that time with Dad. It would be a memory that would never leave my mind, and a lesson that the most important person is right in front of you, so share and treasure those moments. Now I know I can't call my dad and tell him any flashlight stories anymore, but I will make you a promise, Dad, that I will take the time with my boys to have them hold the flashlight and see if they can figure out the reason. Finally, Dad, we know why you love, and we do understand. Just make sure you take care of Mom. Tell her we love her and we miss her. Love you, Dad. And if you see it, if you see a bright light shining in your eyes,